Yes, people, hope you're well. Good afternoon. It is Thursday, the 13th of February, a day before Valentine's Day for all you lovebirds. And we've got another quiz at Cal, Ask Me Anything, episode 3, where you guys can ask me anything. The title is what it is. Obviously, depending on the type of question, depending on what you ask me, depends on whether I will answer. Obviously, if it's anything too crazy, I probably won't. I'm usually an open book with these sort of things. So the floor is yours, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you want to talk about. And we'll chop it up. Shout out to Connor the Red 509 in the chat. Shout out to everyone else watching and listening as well. I want to start off by speaking a little bit about the Merseyside derby, because that's on the tip of everyone's tongue at the moment. Not many games do I wake up from after the night before and feel really annoyed and frustrated about. I mean, to be fair, we've only lost one game this season and drawn a few, but this one, man, this one really irks me for so many reasons. One, because I really wanted to get the 3 points so we could go 9 points clear. Two, because we had we had victory there, and it felt so similar to the Newcastle game where, you know, the win was right there and then we conceded late. However, this one feels different because from minute 1 to minute 96, 97, it just felt as though we were just fighting a losing battle. And it was so annoying to see how bad the referee was. And I know people will sit there and go, but X player was rubbish, or we played rubbish as a team. I don't actually think Liverpool played rubbish. I don't think we played great. I don't think we played rubbish. A couple players had stinkers. But there's only so much you can do when the team you're playing against and the referee who's controlling or meant to be controlling the game isn't doing their job. Everton from the first minute, I don't know if anyone can remember, but from the first tackle in the game was on Cody Gakpo and he got fouled. From that first tackle, the way the tackle happened, the way the tackle was, the referee should have pulled the player to a side, pulled the captain to a side, and said, look, that's your one and only chance. Those sort of challenges aren't going to be welcome in this game, and you can't do that. But instead, he let it go, and nothing came of it. And it's just frustrating because this happens so many times, and it will continue to happen. And the reason it happens is because of tribalism. Now, again, I'll be the first to say I'm a very tribalistic fan. Very. So I'm not going to sit here and try and put down other fan bases for being tribalistic. What I will say, though, is in order for us to get a better standard of refereeing across the board, teams, whether that be fans, managers, players, they all need to unite and address this head on. We've seen Arsenal being the victims of Michael Oliver. We've been the victims of Michael Oliver. Coot only came out this whole situation with Coot only came out this season, and it's been going on for years. You think of people like Tierney as well. Chelsea fans will tell you about Andy Taylor and their relationship with him. There's no smoke without fire, and a lot, and I don't use it, a lot of these referees are getting away with murder. And for me, it's not been good enough for years now. And I don't think it will improve anytime soon unless teams sort of put down a mark and say, no, enough's enough. This needs to be reevaluated. And I don't see that happening for now. And because that doesn't happen for now, it is what it is. I think the Premier League managers had a real chance to put down a marker last season when we got robbed in the Spurs game when Diaz's goal was was wrongfully disallowed. And instead of all banding together, they decided to sit there and go, well, mistakes happen because it didn't happen to their team. And then a couple of weeks later, the Newcastle Arsenal game happens. Mikel Arteta turns around and says it's a disgrace. The referee's in disgrace. But where was that energy a couple of weeks before that? So I can't really get annoyed. But look, the game's happened. I did say before the game that I predicted a 2-2, and I predicted a 2-2 because I thought the referee would have a part to play, because usually whenever it's Goodison, the referees aren't strong enough to do what they need to do, and it happened. That being said, 7 points gap at this stage of the season is massive, considering Arsenal are very inconsistent. Man City are kind of away with the pace of the league, and the fact that we've got a pretty much full strength squad as well, and we're playing the best football in the league, and we have the best player in the league in Mo Salah as well. I think 7 points is enough, but it's not going to be easy still between now and the end of the season. So I've said enough, people. Let's start getting your questions in. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you want to ask me. What do you want to ask me this Thursday afternoon? I'm going to be here for maybe about half an hour. Let me know your thoughts. Shout out to Connor. The Red says Villa and City away next week could be down to 1 point very quickly if we keep playing like this. Very true, but it might not be as well. It might not be as well. But I hear the concern, because those are two massive games and two very difficult games. Connor the Red, I still don't think we win the league. Okay, all right. So I want to speak about this. Connor, I get PTSD and everything. I get the fact that we've got a lot of quantity when it comes to depth. I'd argue about the quality of depth. That being said, though, Connor, the reason why I'm still confident we win the league, bro, is because of the teams behind us not being able to do what we're doing at the moment and maintaining that standard and the level that they need to maintain. I honestly think that we should have enough to get us over the line. The fact that Arsenal players are kind of getting a lot of injuries and all of that, and they've been quite fortunate with injuries over the last couple of years. This is probably the first season where they've really suffered. I think that will play in our favor. I think there will be between now and the end of the season, we will still drop points, but I still think Arsenal will drop points as well. So that's where I sit on that. Big up to Martin, says, Cal, do you think we'll bottle the league with our tough fixture pilot? I don't think we will. I think it'll be close. I wouldn't be surprised if we only win it by a couple of points, but I don't think we'll bottle it from here, personally. I think we'll have enough about us. Obviously, the Wolves game is now massive, especially if it looking like Slot's not going to be on the touchline. It's a massive game, and I think if we can win that game, let me just double check who Arsenal got at the weekend, actually. Who have Arsenal got at the weekend? Arsenal got Leicester City away. I expect Arsenal to win that game, but you never know. Jamie Vardy could do something. And look, if Arsenal lose that game and we win our game, that's 10 points clear. And that's why I kept on saying before the Merseyside derby, a draw against Everton and being 7 points clear is not a bad result. The way the result happened is very annoying, but it's not a bad result. Big up to my brother Enz in the chat. Hope you're well, brother. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Enz's Big Up channel, go and do that. Also, go and subscribe to him on YouTube as well. Do you rate football in the Premier League? I don't. The entertainment comes from decisions, not the football. Oh, there's a few ways to attack this question, brother. I'm glad you asked that question in particular, because you know your stuff when it comes to football. I think from a technical aspect, I think La Liga has better technical players. I think from a entertainment standpoint, I think the Premier League is more entertaining because I think there are way more competitive teams in our league than there are in other leagues. Not just that, I think the physicality and the fact that you have to be on every single week, otherwise you could get turned over, is what makes the league so tough, but also so entertaining. However, the refereeing decisions do add to the entertainment. It's almost like a sitcom, isn't it? Like, it gets worse and worse, and it is what it is. And I do think the refereeing decisions will continue to get worse, and it's only gonna change when all the big teams keep on getting hit on a regular basis, because the small teams have been getting hit. In fact, I don't want to use the term small teams. The teams outside of the top or big six, quote unquote, they've been getting hit a while. Wolves have been getting hit for years, and it's been going under the radar because they're not as big as the big six teams. But Liverpool, as we know, we've been getting it all the way from the pandemic. You look at that Everton game in the pandemic, ironically enough, and look what happened in that game and other games from then and the Spurs game. So it doesn't surprise me. Shout out to John Conway, man. Hey, John Conway, the first person to give some big bucks on here. Massively appreciative, bro. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the kind gesture, John. You are a legend indeed. Connor the Red, do you think Jacob Fatou should be the one to dethrone Cody? He's a mega star in the making. I don't know. It's a difficult one. Who will be the person to dethrone Cody? They've almost built Cody into like the modern day John Cena, innit? In the sense of he's almost impossible to beat. I would have said Gunther would have been a good person, but Gunther's got the other championship, hasn't he? And he's fighting Jey Uso at WrestleMania. I think Jey gets over the line with that one. So maybe it is Gunther. Maybe Jey wins this and then Gunther takes a little bit of time away and then goes after Cody and then wins the big one. He's the obvious choice. I know everyone talks about John Cena getting number 17 this year. I still don't see where it makes sense him getting the belt because he's just gonna have to get the belt and then relinquish it. I don't get what sense that makes. I don't think Cody will lose to John Cena though. I think there's more chance Cena wins the other belt as opposed to that one potentially. Jacob Fatu is sick. He really is. I just don't know if he's face of the company type material because like, when you're the champion, you have to do it, especially that champion. You have to do a lot of work outside the ring. And I don't know if Jacob's that guy to do that. In terms of in ring, Jacob's brilliant, man. He's brilliant. Again, I'm no expert. Jamie Phillips is probably the guy when it comes to wrestling. I'm a very casual watcher. Jamie knows his stuff inside out when it comes to wrestling. But I do like Jacob Fatu. He's got an intensity that I like in the ring. His moveset's really good. His mic work is good. He is a complete star. He's a complete star. I don't know if he'll get the big title though. Martin says, would you take Jamie Gittins as an understudy for Gakpo? Oh, absolutely, yeah. Without plugging too shamelessly, me and Matt did a show for the members that will be being released early next week, speaking about our attack. I know everyone's spoken about our midfield and everyone's spoken about our defense. I'm going to be honest with you. I think out of all the areas on the pitch, I think our attack needs the most surgery. And I know people sit there and go, but Cal, we've got six attackers. We have. Out of those 6 attackers, though, only 2 of them are reliable throughout a season, in my opinion. One is obviously Salah, the other is Gakpo at the moment. When I tell you, I love Diogo Jota. He's one of my favourite Liverpool players and has been for a while. We cannot rely on Jota, man. We just can't. We can't rely on the guy. Brilliant when he plays and he's in form. Absolutely sensational when he's in form. But the injuries are killing him and they're killing us. Not just that, it takes him a while to build up some momentum. I was speaking to Monts about this the other day. Big up Monts, the Big Six crew. So I'm still getting over my flu, guys. He made a really good point. Sturridge would be injured and Sturridge would come back and he'd just be switched on straight away. Jota's a rhythm and momentum player. So Jota, if he's out for 3, let's say he's out for a month, Jota's first game back, he might score, but he won't be great. And then it will take him a little bit of time. And then by game 3 or 4, that's when you'll see the real Jota again. And then you go from there and then he's the same. But then he might get that and then we lose him again. So for me, I think the attack needs the most surgery. Would I go for Gittins? I'd be all good for it, but we ain't going to get him because the amount he would cost and going into a bidding war for a player like Gittins, I don't think it makes sense. Also, if I'm going to be really harsh, the issue is we never tried to get Cavastalia earlier in the process. I genuinely believe this is what happened in January. I'm not trying to make an excuse for the club, by the way, but this is what I think. I think they got wind that Cavastalia wanted to leave Napoli and that Napoli were willing to sell. They thought, we are going to try and go for this player. This is a player that moves the needle and is a quality footballer. I think when they made the approach and when they went in for him, they realized just how far the line PSG were and the fact that the player had made commitments to PSG. So they pulled out, they pulled back, pause. And because of that, and not being able to get anyone of his level or anyone close to his level, they didn't sell Darwin. They kept Darwin to make sure we had 6 attackers. It makes all the sense in the world. I just wish we could have been more proactive and tried to go in for Cavastalia in the summer and maybe do what PSG did and lay some foundation down. But we didn't, and he's in Paris now. But to answer your question, Martin, yes, I would take Jamie Gittins, but I don't think we're going for him. Shout out to N says, Cal, do you love football as much as you did in your teens and why? Oh, Ends, man, you've got some bloody good questions. I can't lie, because this is a real head scratcher for me. I do and I don't. I do because I think the overall level of the Premier League has improved, and the overall level of Liverpool has improved. So from that standpoint, I do love football more than in my teens. And this is not me complaining about being a content creator, by the way, because I feel very honored and privileged to be a content creator, for people to even hear anything I say and take any credence from it. But because I'm a content creator, I can't digest football how I used to digest football. Like, for example, I can't sit down with my little ones and watch a Liverpool game, because we do watch-alongs. I don't watch watch-alongs with the volume on, so I can't hear the crowd atmosphere and all those things. I can't really sort of immerse myself into that. I have to watch the game as an analyst as opposed to as a fan a lot of the time. So that element has taken a little bit of the love out of it. Whereas when I was a teen, I could just set up in the front room, watch a Liverpool game and immerse myself into it. I can't be how I would if I'm watching a game. I can't sit there and snack and eat and do all these things and just be a fan, because I've got to create content. It's part of my role. So it's a 50-50 thing, Ends. And you said it as well, you can attest to this, and I think anyone who does watch-alongs can attest. It's very different watching a game in the stands or at home than doing a watch-along. Because I could just sit here and ignore comments and all that, but then why am I doing a watch-along? Because the whole idea of a watch-along is that we are watching the game together and we interact together. So, yeah. It's around. I hope that's not too much of a crazy answer. That makes sense. Ends, they all are missing something, but if you put them together, we have great forward. Like, I agree, bro. Connor the Red says, yeah, we've 3 strikers and they're all not good enough for varying reasons. Yeah, look, I came out and said, look, after Diaz was starting in the false 9, I was like, yeah, I can understand why we've done it, and maybe that's his position for the future. It's not. I keep on saying it. False 9 for me doesn't work when you play with a number 10. It just doesn't. And I'm not even sitting there saying Szoboszlai is some GA monster. But Szoboszlai does crash the box. Szoboszlai does get beyond the strike sometimes. But he can't be doing that all game, especially with what we ask him to do from a defensive standpoint. You need an out-and-out striker if you're going to play with a 10. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. So, yeah, me personally, I'll be moving on 3 of the attackers at the end of the season. I'll be looking to get some more players come in personally. So, yeah, that's what I would do personally, and we'll see where it goes from there. Shout out to Ali. I just joined your watch alongs to have you guys berate me for being an Arsenal fan. My dad telling me I wasn't good enough, wasn't quite cutting it anymore, so needed. Big up yourself, Ali. You're a legend, brother. Um, Conor Ray says, imagine Salah, Isak, Gakpo, but we'd never do it because we're cheap. It's my dream scenario, man. Let me ask you guys a question, actually. I know it's meant to be quizzing me and asking me the question, but I just want to ask you guys one question. If I said to you, we can get Isak and we can upgrade or get someone else for the left wing, who would you try and get someone who would be an upgrade on Gakpo, or would you try and get an understudy for Gakpo? Because I look, Gakpo's really changed my opinion on him. He's been excellent this season. But the game like yesterday, for example, I think he plays within himself when teams are really physical against him. I still think, even though he's been excellent this season, I still think we can upgrade on Gakpo. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. En said, what's your honest opinion if Salah leaves and two players that make Liverpool unbeatable? If Salah leaves, I think he'll be a massive detriment to us. We'll still score goals and win games, but not at the half the rate. Again, the fact of yesterday, he gets a goal and an assist. If he's not playing, we don't win that. We don't win. We didn't win that. We don't get a draw in that game. We lose that game, in my opinion. None of the attackers look like they were going to do anything in that game apart from Salah. So two players that make us unbeatable. I'm going to take that as Trent, Salah, and Virgil stay. Two players I'd bring in to make us unbeatable. Ooh. I'm going to go Miguel Gutierrez at left back. And Isak. I think if you get Isak and a left back, I think yeah, I just think we're something else. I think we go to a whole nother level personally. You get an understudy ends. Give me some names, right? I know you know your football and you know your players around Europe. Are there any left wingers you'd try and go and get who are kind of realistic? Because I've said for the right wing, I wouldn't mind us trying to go in for Tyler Diblin. I think Southampton will go down, and I think we should try and get Tyler Diblin. Marty says, which year did you become a Red and why? When I was 4 years old, after Robbie Fowler scored the hat-trick against Arsenal. Shout out to Ali if he's still in the chat. But yeah, that was the game where I became a Red. Connor the Red says, just watch the top Reds blame Michael Oliver if we bottle a 7-point lead instead of calling out the club. Yeah, that's one thing I think can't happen. Me personally, I don't think that's something that we should ever do. If we bottle a lead from here, then yeah, I'll be intolerable. Ali says you should do this on bigger. Do what, Ali, bro? Hold on, let me see if I missed that. Is Isak going for less than 150 mil? Yeah, I think he will go for less than 150. I think he will. Wow, as I'm live, imagine, big up my brother Mons. As I'm live, Mons has literally just messaged me. I don't want to. I'm not going to message what or say what the private message is. All I'm saying, he's not happy with Kanai at the moment. I'm going to speak to Mons about that in a bit. Hardeep, big up yourself. Hardeep says, Cal, have you, Matt and Drift, not thought of doing a channel together discussing anything and everything in the news, like a chat show or just random stuff? Because you three together are a laugh to watch. And it's also what makes you guys fun to watch. It's like banter you used to have at school. Probably not start a separate channel, only because we've got Coppish and then our 3 separate channels. But I think we will do more stuff like that for the members. I think we were doing that at one stage for the members, but I think we will start doing that more for the members. I think we do like, obviously you guys watch us, we'll go on tangents and stuff, but I think that would be fun to do that. So yeah, we will definitely do that for the members. Ed says Semenyo as a player would cook for us. Potentially. I don't think he's a rubbish player at all. He still doesn't move me like that, but he's a very good footballer. John says Cal is still winning the league. Yes, I believe so. It won't be easy, but I believe so. Conor the Red says, give Newcastle Nunes plus cash for Isak if they're stupid enough. I reckon so. Here's where I reckon we could get Isak. I think Kelleher ends up at Newcastle potentially. If you can build a good relationship and sell Kelleher there, maybe even Joe Gomez, then maybe, just maybe, that's the way you do it. Just maybe. Because I do think Newcastle might get Champions League football this season. And if they do, I think Kelleher would be more than open to moving to Newcastle. So just looking at the league now, Newcastle are 6th in the league, and they're 2 points behind Chelsea in 4th place. They can absolutely get top 4, in my opinion, and potentially 5th spot will be a Champions League spot as well. So I do think Newcastle can do it. So I'd be interested. I just hope, man. Nate's still waiting for the PGMO apology. But don't hold your breath, bro. You're gonna run out of breath. They ain't gonna apologize. It just is what it is, man. As I said, unless teams come together and start working together to improve the standard of officiating, nothing's gonna change, unfortunately. It just is what it is. It's a shame. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Connor the Red says, what do you think happens with Kwanzaa next season? I'd get rid, but keeping him is cheaper, so we'll do that, in my opinion. Oh, Ali, were you saying we should do the sorry, I'm being an idiot. Do the news shows on Big Up. You know what? That's a shout, Ali. That is a shout. Yeah, we'll probably do that then. We'll probably do it on here and do it for our members. So yeah. Ali, this is why you're the genius, bro. This is why you're the genius. Kwanzaa. I don't want us to sell Kwanzaa. I don't even want us to loan him out. The issue I've had with the Kwanzaa experiment since the moment he broke through is Kwanzaa was never meant to be 4th choice. Kwanzaa was meant to be a 5th choice centre-back. And you're meant to integrate him slowly into the team. He was always meant to be 5th choice. But because we didn't address the centre-back situation, not the summer gone, but the summer previously, he got boosted forward. Then Matip gets injured. He gets boosted forward even more. Then he's playing in Europa League, which is a lower standard. And because we're winning games and he's looking good in Europa League, unfortunately, I think a lot of the fan base went overboard with Jarell Kwanzaa and expected too much too soon. Slot's come in, who is a brand new manager, and he's thinking, I need results. And Kwanzaa is not better than Konate, so he's gone, right, I'm going to play my 2 best. And then when Kwanzaa has played, it's not been good for him. However, people are forgetting Kwanzaa's meant to be making mistakes at this age, especially with his level of experience. He's meant to be making these mistakes. It's just that because he's having to play more than he should, these mistakes becoming more and more apparent. In an ideal world, we get another centre-back, Kwanzaa's 5th choice centre-back, and he plays as and when. But because Konate and Virgil are the mainstay and Gomez can't stay fit, Kwanzaa's a 3rd choice centre-back. That's what the issue is for me. I don't have an issue with Kwanzaa. I hope we keep him. I hope he stays, and I hope he doesn't go out on loan. But we definitely need another centre-back. Ends Nico Williams or Barcola, they would Barcola's, I don't see him leaving PSG, bro. Nico Williams, I'd be all for that. But I'll ask you a question, Endo. Do you think we can afford his salary? Because he's on like 300k a week already, right? And then also, do you think he will get us enough numbers from the left wing? Even if it's not goals, but do you think he gets us enough assists? Because he doesn't get great amount of GA. Even though context has to be added, he's playing for Athletic Bilbao, where he is the main man and the main person. Do you think he gets enough GA in this system and in this team to keep him starting ahead of a Gakpo or challenging Gakpo properly? N says, do you miss Klopp as a manager, or do you prefer Arne Slot? I miss Klopp every day. I really do miss Klopp. I prefer Arne Slot's temperament. I think Klopp towards the end became very prickly and very annoyed and almost ratty and too stubborn in his approach. I love Klopp though, man. Klopp's my favorite manager of all time. And I know a lot of people who watch Coppish will go, oh, Cowboys crashed out on Klopp and he didn't like Klopp and he wanted Klopp sacked. I never wanted Klopp sacked. But I will be completely honest with you guys. If this is a safe space for me to do that, I think Klopp left at the right time. I think if Klopp continued, he'd have become a villain and would have forgot about his hero status as much as he left as a legend. And I'm happy with that. In the same way, Sadio Mane, I think if Mane potentially stayed longer, that could have happened as well. I think they left at the right time, especially Klopp, with us almost wanted a little bit more. But I think Slot is a better tactician and is getting more out of the players than Klopp did. But I also do think Klopp was fed up with things like the refereeing decisions, etc., and probably even elements of work of FSG. I have a little conspiracy theory. I think that FSG turned to Klopp at some point and said, look, we want to bring back Edwards. We want to go back to our previous way of doing things. And I don't think Klopp was on board with it, hence why he said, I'll step away. So, yeah, that's just me. Connor the Red says, if we don't win the league from this position, is it the biggest bottle job in the club's history? Yeah, I think it could be. I think it could be. Nate says, fully agree, another season we would have gone really poor, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree with that. And says, yeah, I think so. They would lower his salary. They would lower his salary, and I think he would have a Mane effect. Makes a difference in big games. If you look across the Prem, left wingers don't have big numbers. Our left wingers do more than most. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Diaz, I think his numbers are very weird. Because Diaz, you look at his numbers on the surface and they look really good, but then you actually break down how he's getting his numbers. And I say this all the time. This is why I always say my quote is, stats have to be contextualized and the eye test is subjective. Now, in the Premier League this season, I'm going to actually bring up their stats. So Diaz stats. So in the Premier League this season, Diaz has 8 goals and 2 assists. Gakpo has 8 goals and 3 assists. Virtually identical. So you're going, well, why is everyone praising Gakpo and people are putting down Diaz? And this is why. For a start, Diaz has played false 9 this season. You think of the 8 Premier League goals. Diaz got a brace against Spurs, a goal against West Ham, a brace against Man United. So that's 5. I think he got a brace against Brentford at the beginning of the season. That's 7. And then he scored another goal, which I can't remember. So Diaz has scored in 5 Premier League goals this 5 Premier League games this season. He has played in 23 Premier League games this season. So 8 games in 23 from a left wing is not poor. But when you look at Gakpo, for example, Gakpo has spread his goals out. And I'll always say it's better to spread your goals out throughout a season than to have clusters of goals. For example, 2 players could have 3 goals in 5 games. But if one player scores a hat-trick in 1 game and then doesn't score in the other 4, and then the other player scores 1 goal in 3 games, I'd rather have the 1 goal in 3 games because it gives you a better chance of winning those 3 games. Whereas the other person gives you a chance of just winning 1 game. And I think that's the issue I have with Diaz, and why I'd go Gakpo ahead of Diaz on the left wing. Simply because Gakpo, in my opinion, spreads his goals out throughout a season. Diaz has clusters where he scores goals, and I think that hinders us. Excuse me again, my voice in nose go. I'm going to wrap up in about 5 minutes, guys. Martin says, do you reckon Klopp called Slot yesterday and told him this is why I ran out of energy? Possibly. I wouldn't be surprised. Connor the Red said, League Cup ain't guaranteed either. Some people acting like we've already won it. I'll be honest, I think that's a very 50-50 game against Newcastle. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm worried about that game. It's a 50-50 game, and I'm worried about that game. That is a tough game. And says it's crazy because we have to. They have to share the left because we have 2. They have to share the left wing. Ideally, if we have 1, it means 16 goals and 5 assists. I know it doesn't work like that, but for this argument, let's say it does. We would look at players as world class. Yeah, I agree. That is true. But then I'll ask you, Enz. Diaz got quite a lot of those goals from playing false 9. If Diaz, let's say we took Gakpo out of the scenario, I don't think Diaz is sitting on 16 goals and 5 assists, because I don't think he picks up the positions that Gakpo would have to get those goals. But I hear the sentiment though. Connor says, particularly with the way we're playing Newcastle Smokers. Yeah, Isak and Gordon could do a madness. Enz, I was going to see if you would mention Gordon now. I think that boat has sailed because I think he signed a new contract, or he's about to sign a new contract. I think a few people owe Anthony Gordon an apology. And again, I'll caveat that by saying that I didn't want Anthony Gordon. I do think we can get better players than Anthony Gordon. But the way our fan base spoke about Gordon was like he was some scrub. He was far from a scrub. And if I'm not mistaken, he has more GA than Diaz so far this season in the Premier League. And I think he might even have matched Gakpo's GA in the Premier League. And that is for a team not as good. And when Isak wasn't there, he had to play centre forward as well. Gordon's a good player, just frustrating. I'm going to take this as the last question, guys, before I wrap up. Nate says, do you think there's a good way to address the constantly poor refs? I think the Premier League managers need to get together, hold a meeting and do it privately. Definitely not out in public, but do it privately. Ed says, fair point. I think we always have to compare the left wingers to top teams and see what happens. And Gordon, I think he's okay. I don't think he's that special. No, I agree. I don't think he's special. Connor says, when do you think it leaves all 3 leaving on a free after we win the Premier League? What a horrible way to end the show. But people, enough love to you all. Thank you all for watching and listening to episode 3 of Quiz Cow. Big up to yourselves. As I said, guys, before you go, please make sure you click on Enz's name and you go and subscribe to his big up channel as well. Make sure you join his community. Enz, nothing but love, bro. For every one of you guys in the chat as well, nothing but love to you all as well. Thank you. And till see you on the next one. Have a good one, people. Have a good rest of the Thursday. If I don't speak to you, have a fantastic Valentine's Day, however you're celebrating. Don't need to know the details. But enough love to you all. Thanks all for watching and listening. Take it easy, everyone.